Hi, welcome back to Ammosmith. We're back. The weather was kind of rainy off and on for weeks. It's almost July. Strange weather. Anyway, apologize for the wind. I got no control over that. I have a Rode microphone with this thing called a dead cat on it. It's like this big fuzzy looking thing. But I'm not sure if it's going to work. The wind's pretty heavy. It's already knocked my tripod down a couple times, and I've already had to go fix my target a few more times than that. So what we're going to be working with today is my HK91. This is the first time I made a video on it. I've had this thing since about 1985. This thing was like expensive when it was brand new. It was like $550, and since then it's really gone up in value. It's a really nice rifle. Most of you already know what an HK is, but for those of you who don't, this is the 91. This is the 308, and it uses G3 magazines, which now are cheap. When I first got this thing, the magazines were running like $70, $80 a piece. It only came with 2 in the box, and so cheaper than dirt has them for like $5 each now. Now I got like 20 magazines. But anyway, this is the civilian version of the G3 rifle that the German Bundeswehr had used all the way up until the 1970s. This is the A3 version, which means this has the collapsible stock. Also have the A2 stock for it, which is back in the safe. It's a delayed roller lock action. I got the bipod on it, the HK bipod, and I have the ARMS quick detachable scope mount. This is a neat little mount. It just pops off. Like that, you're done. It has your typical HK drum sight on here. It goes from 200 to 400 meters with a wide aperture night or close range sight. Got the carrying handle on it, and this is delayed roller lock action, which is really neat because it keeps the breech locked, but it doesn't have the cumbersome gas system like so many other rifles do. Why they decided not to use this anymore, I have no idea, because this is a fine rifle. The scope mount is really nice. It goes on in a snap. Make sure it's lined up. There's a lever on this side that has torque. Pull it until it locks, and boom, you're done. And it retains 0 for the most part. I mean, I've taken this scope mount on and off for I can't tell you how many times. It always pretty much returns to 0. The most it's ever been off is like a ½ inch, which is a lot if you're shooting long range. But it is 7.62 NATO. It's marked 308 in the receiver, and it says made in Germany. So this is not a Set Me or a Century Arms parts gun, or the SAR 8, I think, was the one that Springfield Army had produced, and then the Greeks had one they actually called the G3, and it was still semi-automatic, but there were some copyright issues and they stopped importing that. This is an actual German rifle, and it shoots really nice. It has your typical military trigger on it, the safety. It's right here, of course. You got 0 and 1. If it was full auto, it would say 0, 1, and 2. The trigger pull on this is, I want to say, about 7 pounds. It's smooth. You know, it's not, you don't feel any grinding or creep like that, anything like that. And it's a very wide trigger guard. I mean, I can stick 2 fingers in here, and that's so a gloved hand can fit in here during the wintertime. Has a fluted chamber, so it's really, really hard on brass. And so what we're going to do with this today is we're going to shoot it a few times, and then we're going to put this across a chronograph, because I believe this has either 18-inch barrel, I want to say, and my bolt gun has a 24-inch barrel. And so we're going to shoot some M80 ball. This is Hirtenberger from Austria. It's supposed to be really accurate. We're going to find out. And we're going to chronograph, see what the velocity is out of this length barrel versus the 24-inch barrel on my Remington. So it should be interesting. I don't expect a huge difference in it like I would with the 5.56 millimeter. We've done testing with the 5.56, and I've discussed that on our forum, and we'll be discussing the velocities and the particulars of this rifle on the forum as well. So if you want to check us out, go to ammosmith.com and click on the forum and register, or you can just read through it. We have plenty of topics on there that benefit hand loaders. But for today's test, we're going to be using factory ammo for just comparison between a 24-inch and this length barrel. And I got some nice hand loads, some 168, so we're going to see what this thing can really do. The optic on here is a loophole Vari X3 1.5 to 5 power. It's really smooth. This was originally on my 416 Remington Magnum, which is a custom Weatherby. But on this, I think it fits better on this. And the 416 doesn't really need a scope because I have express sights on it. And we'll take that rifle out someday and do some hand loads in it. Again, I apologize for the wind. I'm not sure if my new microphone camera setup is going to work. I got a beast grip and this Rode mic on here, so we'll see. So let's get things set up. Actually, what I need to do first before I do that is sight this in. Then I'll bring you guys back and we'll see how this does with ball ammo versus good hand loads. Okay, I got the chronograph set up, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to shoot like 3 across with the bolt gun, and then I'm going to go to the HK and see what the difference is. The first shot was 29-23. The wind out here is absolutely awful. Every time I come out here, it's either raining or windy or both. I just can't win on the weather out here. I love Idaho, but the wind out here is just awful. All right, shot number 2. .29-11. Not bad for surplus ammo. Let's go for shot number 3, then we'll switch rifles. .29-14. You know, this really has a low standard deviation for surplus ammo. Let's see what the HK91 does. It's recoil operated, so I don't have to worry about any gas bleed off or anything like that. I had to shield the microphone behind my Forerunner. There's just no way that little microphone with that wind protector in there is going to get rid of all the wind. I hope the sound turns out okay. Okay, so we got the HK. I got 3 rounds in the magazine, and I'm going to put 3 rounds down range. First shot, 26-86. Second shot, 27-19. Third shot, 2709. A little more standard deviation, not totally unexpected, but and there was a bit of velocity loss, close to 300 feet a second, so there is quite a bit of a difference between the 24-inch and the 18-inch barrel, or is this 16? I'll have to measure this. But there is some difference. Not as much difference as there would be if it were the 5.56, so I can say that. And the one thing that this rifle doesn't have is a last shot bolt hold open. That's one thing I wish they would have put on this thing when they designed it, but it doesn't. Complete safe weapon, and let's do something different.